So this was a really interesting week in AI, primarily because Llama 3 went out this week, and this was the biggest update not just for this month, but rather the entire year. If you've tested Llama 3 and you've watched a couple of videos with respect to what this can do, this is absolutely mind blowing, and it's almost something that we all were waiting for a very very long time now. It comes in two variants. First is the 8 billion and the second one is the 70 billion parameter. Now, if you look at the benchmarks, the 8 billion beats all the open source models that are in the same category or almost in the same category, especially on the human evaluation and the math side of things, where it literally is almost double as good as the other ones. And on the 70 billion or larger model parameter side, almost is as good as Gemini 1.5 Pro or Claude 3 Sonnet, which are closed source models and very advanced AI models. They also launched their own platform, which is Meta AI, and it's apparently restricted to certain geographies at this point of time. Yet it's almost like a competitor to ChatGPT, Claude, and all the chat interfaces that allow you to interact with these models. Meta AI's platform can also do image generation, but I haven't been able to try it out primarily because of the restrictions on the geography, but I can use a VPN and try it out later this week. What excites me about this release is the fact that this was released by large company like Meta and not small open source company like Mistral or even OpenAI like startups, right? So a large company is dedicated to building open source AI. And if you watched the recent podcast of Zuck or Mark Zuckerberg, you will notice that they are not only committed to open sourcing all of these models, but also committed to open sourcing things like AGI, which can potentially be the future of humanity. Over the podcast, Mark also discussed how energy is going to be the main unit of the future and not compute, because energy is where the compute essentially comes from. So that was very interesting and kind of gives you insights with respect to what to bet against or what to bet on when it comes to looking at in the future itself. So for example, if you were to buy stocks rather than buying, let's say, stocks of semiconductors or chip companies, you would rather look at buying energy stocks because they are going to be powering these chips and they are going to be consuming energy coming from these chips. So we are now nailing down even deeper into the whole arena of AI related growth of the future. Anyway, so I did kind of try it out. I did install Llama 3 locally. And if you look at this video that I built, let me just skip the ad. So over this video, what I basically did is I actually, walked you through the Llama model itself, and then we built a replacement of GitHub Copilot completely for free, right? So again, there are extensions that allow you to do this. So definitely go ahead and check this video out. The quality improvement is insane. And if you're using GitHub Copilot frequently, you should definitely check this video out. This is the podcast, by the way, I was talking about where Mark mentioned that the energy is going to be the compute of the future. So you can go ahead and watch this video as well. It's a very interesting podcast and kind of was record keeping Llama 3 launch in mind and kind of did a great publicity when it comes to the promotion side of the Llama 3 per se. And don't be mistaken, like the model is awesome. And you should, if you're using models like ChatGPT 3 or GPT 3.5, then Llama 3 is definitely something that you should be looking at, especially if you have like a decent config in your PC. And they have a smaller model too, which is 8 billion, which should also run in like a decent PC if you have a decent setup at your place. The next was the Mistral's new open source model. A couple of months back, they announced that they partnered with Microsoft in some capacity and they released a couple of models that were better than GPT-4, but they were closed source. So in this scenario, they released Mistral 8 into 22 billion parameter, which is the 8 mixture of experts based model, which is better than GPT 3.5 and is almost as good as the closed source models that we have available today. It has 39 billion active parameters out of 141 billion, meaning 39 billion parameters are active almost at any point of time. Again, with the previous releases, the model has great support across different languages like English, French, Italian, and German, and even Spanish, so mostly European languages, and has strong math and coding capabilities. And it also supports function calling, which is rare with open source models. Function calling is basically your ability to call outside APIs and run APIs inside of the model itself, which is not something a lot of open source models support today. It has a context window of 64K or 64,000 tokens, which is also a great bit for open source models because it has a larger window in which it can process the data itself. Performance wise, you can see this is better, both performance, but slightly more expensive when it comes to cost than the previous Mistral version. I don't know if it's compared with Llama 3 yet, but I'm assuming that Llama 3 is going to be better than this model. You can see on MMLU, it's better than all the previous open source models, including Llama 2, 70 billion parameter again. And in all the parameters except for the Winoji, which is again, I think the reasoning based parameter here. So all of these are basically same reasoning. On the multilingual side, this is better than almost all the model because this is primarily created for that use case. On math and coding side, again, it's better than all the models, but again, it's not compared with the Llama 3 model. And I'd be interested to know how it performs on those lines. So again, this was the release and it's open source. So you can actually try it out locally as well. And you can also try it out on their own platform. They have their own chat interface as well, where you can kind of give it a shot. The next update is Wasa 1, which is Microsoft's own model that can take an image, single image and an audio clip and then generate a talking face for you. This is, I think, the best talking face avatar people have seen, but this is not available to anyone at this point of time. So this is just a demo research preview and they are not planning to release it anytime soon. So if you take a look at any of the videos here.
Have you ever had, maybe you're in that place right now where you want to turn your life around and you know somewhere deep in your soul, there could be some decisions that you have to make. Like, you know, like it's like something was decided.
So you can see it looks very, very realistic. And it also has the capability to pan around the canvas, right? So you can see this person is moving the face around.
I would say that we as readers are not meant to look.
And then it can also have generation across different head scales. So you can see smaller face, larger, relatively larger, and very large faces here.
But you can imagine I have a lot of questions.
You can see all of these look very consistent. And then you can also generate it across the different emotions. You can see there's a person with the poker face here. It's relatively happy, sad, and then shocked.
I do stand up all the time. I'm a stand-up comedian, improviser by trade. You had me on one of the most fun.
Very interesting. And it can also do generations outside of its own box, meaning its own training data set. So let's play this.
Yo, I'm a paparazzi.
And you can see this is the generation looks very
I don't play no Yahtzee.
Here's another one.
You never tell me that you love me.
Here's another one.
I'm not surprised.
So very interesting. It can also do different language generations.
大哥今天请我来，可能
So again, it's a research preview and they don't plan to release it anytime soon. It's obvious because of the issues around, say, the deep fakes. But again, this looks very, very good. And I think this is the most realistic one I've seen. There was something released by ByteDance, the company behind TikTok, but it wasn't as good as this. This is very, very good. The next release this week, and this is another major one and kind of concerning as well, the Stable Diffusion 3 API. Now, the reason why this is huge is because we've been waiting for this open source model for a very long time. The unfortunate part though is that it's not released open source yet. It's just released as an API right now. This has not happened before because previously the model comes out first and then the API comes out later. But this time around the API came out first and there is no update when it comes to with respect to when the model will come out in the future. So kind of concerning because, you know, recently the leadership changes also happened. Imad Mustaqi, who was the founder of Stability AI, left the company and they have a new CEO in place now. So it's kind of concerning that way. The guy left for doing decentralized AI, which is again something we can talk about later, but right now it's led by someone else. And you know how common it is for people to, when they change roles, things definitely change. And I wouldn't want Stable Diffusion to not happen to the community because this is the best open source model in image generation right now. So the next one I want to talk about is, you know, my thoughts on all the AI based assistants or AI variables that are happening right now. So Human AI was shipped last week and almost everyone who used it did not like it. Primarily because while the product was well made, the UX side of the story wasn't figured out yet. The device had, you know, an aim to replace smartphones, which is firstly a very hard thing to do. Second, it's going to take way more than just this because smartphones are not just a device for you to record things or listen to things. They also allow you to talk to people. They also allow you to be independent when it comes to installing apps and making smartphones do things that you wouldn't typically do. without the smartphones, right? But the initial reviews came in for the device itself, and trust me, they are not great. Almost everyone who used it did not like it. And then recently, this new AI variable was also announced. It's called AI Pendant, and trust me, it's not that good either. So the use case that was talked about through this demo video was that it can allow you to record meetings and then summarize them. Well, that's something that a software can also do, but without the need for you to wear it on your neck all the time. So this is how it looks. It's almost like a pendant that you can wear, and then it becomes like a personal assistant. I honestly think it's like a moving mic, and it's not going to do too good when it comes to the use case that I have in mind. Maybe for certain people who have a lot of meetings, but not for everyone, not for day-to-day people like us. So my honest review is wait for the variables to get a little more mature before you start investing any sort of money in this, right? Because this is definitely not there yet, and I don't anticipate this is going to be there just yet until like a bigger company sets foot in this area. Right now, this is like very, very early for us to invest in this. So now majorly all the major updates are done. Let's just talk about a few more updates that came out this week. So again, AI and music are really picking up. There are people like, or artists like Drake, choosing to record songs with AI versions of other artists. So very, very interesting that way. And then obviously because of that, there are also privacy concerns. Can you just record a song using AI and then sell it? Because AI is currently not copyrightable, right? So why would you record a song if someone else can just recreate it and sell it to someone else? So there are regulations that are coming in place now. And then certain agencies are also trying to see if there are real use cases of AI when it comes to creating digital doubles of artists and then building songs on top of that. It's very clear that whatever you generate via AI is not copyrightable. So again, this might be a bad idea to begin with. You can see there was this regulation passed by a federal judge that AI based content is not copyrightable. So if I were someone who was creating music or images or art using AI, then I wouldn't jump the ship just yet. Anyway, so artists are like in real time now adapting to AI based initiatives, which is interesting. But again, I wouldn't recommend doing that until regulations are in place. Next is Microsoft's OpenAI partnership, which could face EU antitrust probe. Now, let me explain this to you in very simple terms. EU has an EU AI Act, which kind of stops smaller companies to publish their AI models until they are tested, right? Until there are good guardrails in place for AI, management of data, and so on and so forth. Now these smaller companies team up with bigger companies, say OpenAI teaming up with Microsoft. It becomes easier for them to enter certain markets like Europe, because on a regulatory level or on an approval level, all the requirements that EU needs, Microsoft has already obliged with it. And now because Microsoft and OpenAI are working together, does that mean OpenAI can just use whatever approval Microsoft has and then, break into the market, which seems wrong. So this is what is going on right now. EU is probing this sort of partnership, and because Microsoft has already also partnered with Mistral, and Mistral is from Europe, so can all of these partnerships that bigger companies that are compliant are doing are also eligible to have the same EU approvals that these larger companies have? So this is under investigation because this can lead to problems later. So if Microsoft launches an app that allows you to do automatic interviews, accept and reject using AI, that's like a breach of EU AI Act's one of the rules. So should they be stopped from doing that or not? Because Microsoft already has the approval. So that's what they're investigating right now. And it rightly should be investigated, right? So again, I think mostly that's all I want to talk about when it comes to this week in AI. I also want to hear certain things from you when it comes to, let's say, what do I build more and more? So if you go to YouTube, and I realized this yesterday when I posted the video on Llama, almost everyone did that too. So what is the point of me covering something that other people are already covering and faster than me, right? Because I am based in a different time zone. By the time I cover something, the other folks have already covered it. So it does not make sense for me to recover it. I'm just adding more content to the already built list of content, right? So I'm kind of hoping to hear from you with respect to what I should build and what are you looking for. So one thing that I noticed from the Llama 3 video that I posted is I created something different than the other folks, right? So I created like a replacement of GitHub Copilot, which is not what a lot of other people did. And a lot of you liked it as well, because this video has more views than the other videos itself. But I want to hear what you guys want me to build more often. because I'm going to be sticking around here. It's not like I'm going to stop posting videos. I just want to ensure that whatever I build is more meaningful for you as an end user. So definitely let me know, and I appreciate any support you guys are offering. I see some of you are interacting with the videos a lot more than other people, so I appreciate that a lot. Either ways, thank you so much guys, and have a good rest of the week. See you guys.